Okay, we got the bad news out of the way. Now the good news, what it can do. So first thing, it can be your absolute superstar 1000x coder, absolute megastar under the right circumstances. It can one-shot whole features, like I'm talking whole features that would be spec to 1 to 8 story points, depending on how bloated story points are at your company, and they're usually very bloated in a lot of companies. So 1 to 8 story points in like 2 minutes of coding. There is some work before and after, but the coding itself is like 2 minutes if you spec it and size it right. Again, it can debug code, it can debug its own code very, very effectively. It can help you debug your own code. It can do all the boring work, the work that you don't like to do, it will do it gladly, and it can work as a tutor. Did I say an absolute superstar 1000x coder? I did, but I only forgot to mention one small thing. This coder has only one flaw, and that flaw is complete, utter, and total amnesia. That's the problem. And if you understand this, then you will make great success in coding with AI. So every context that you click, plus sign, you get a new context, it is a new person. You have to explain everything from the scratch. If you do that right, then you can one-shot whole features. This is amazing, amazing. You can do it. You have to give it spec, design, schema, code, style examples, all the docs you have. I know I mentioned this already. I'm mentioning it again for a reason. This is very important. And if you do a good job, you will make profit. Key thing here is the size. So if you try to do too many things in one context, it will start hallucinating. So you should split it. The context is big enough for 99.99 things. I don't know, that are some like cohesive small things. It can handle them. So you just have to split it and use the context wisely. If it's too small, if your task is too small, then you just slow. You could have done a few things at the same time. This is less often an issue, and you will have to experiment to find where the right context size is. So there's a lot of improvement as new models come out. So you should experiment and then experiment again with the new models that come out. So I said 1 to 8, maybe 1 to 3, depending on how you estimate. Like standard, which is never a standard, but story points. You can, it's kind of the right context size. For giving it the right context, the new cursor is getting much, much better at finding its own right context. But if you don't know where the right context is, that is a red flag. That means you're kind of vibe coding. So you need to understand what it needs to build this something new. So you need to know where the right context is. Also, those tool calls can get now very expensive with cursor max. It can be like 20 times expensive as without doing those calls for searches and stuff like that. So I would say it is your job, and it is best done by you to give it the right context. Debugging. Now it becomes not so bad. If it's working on a feature in the same prompt, just copy paste the output. Usually that fixes it. It's some thing with the syntax or something like that. You can let it add its own logs and then copy paste that to it, so it becomes its assistant. Or you can let it run terminal by itself and iterate. The new cursor can do that too if you let it. What are the most common issues from my experience so far? Number one, absolute number one, is outdated libraries. So it was trained a year ago or something. A lot of libraries have updated and it doesn't have that data. So you need to either copy the new spec or give it a link to the page where the new spec is. Incomplete, wrong spec, wrong context, stuff like that are mistakes. That's like, I would say, number two. And then Sonnet was kind of eager to help too much sometimes, and then it sometimes adds things that you didn't ask it for, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. So if you don't want this, you can just write run prompt next in that context to remove that, or you can just try and fix it with rules. I didn't really play with this, but I'm sure you can do it with rules. If you read documentation of Cursor, you know what Cursor rules are. And also for the code it didn't write, or it wrote before, whatever, if you're like in a single file, if you narrow the bug to a single file, it can definitely help you find it very, very, very reliably and fix it. Nobody loves boring work, reading, understanding documentation, doing integrations, with APIs, solving some low-level problems, sort algorithms. They are great on like job tests, but I don't really want to see them in reality. I just want to sort. Syntax, queries, even now it's writing great queries. I don't write any queries by hand anymore. I just give it, schema and ask it to write a query. Boilerplate code, CSV processing, import exports. There's also like now you can do those import exports. You can write some small like tools that are throwaway code, and that becomes very easy. That being said, because that is happening, it allows you to go into a very, very deep flow. Like I can go into a flow where I'm completely isolated out from the outer world, and I'm just like working on this because it's so much fun. It can go much, much faster, and that's the speed that it's much better for my brain to keep it entertained. So this is great. AI can also work as a tutor. This is very important for like junior engineers or people trying to learn how to code. You can basically do everything. You can ask it to build stuff, but if you're learning, ask it to explain. So you can give it a snippet of a code, ask it to explain the code. It does a great job. Or you can ask it to write new code, but with explanations step by step why it did what it did and where. You can ask it for full zero to hero tutorials. Sometimes you might need deep research for this. Go to ChatGPT. You don't have to do it in Cursor. I use this for DevOps a lot. I used to be very scared from DevOps. I didn't know about DevOps, and it had some form of like hidden knowledge and stuff like that not a lot of people knew, and DevOps engineers got paid like shit ton of money. Now I do all my own DevOps, and it's great because AI gives me great tutorials and explanations. Sometimes, obviously, they're out of date, but it works great most of the time. What does this mean for junior developers? Well, I cannot tell you for sure. I cannot tell you exactly. I think that you will have to learn faster. So, things are changing fast. You will have to learn faster. The bar is going up. You definitely shouldn't be committing code you don't understand fully. If you don't understand fully the code that you committed, you will get into trouble sooner or later. You should iterate until you do, ask it to explain, ask it to explain, ask it to explain, until you do understand it. From the job side, I think it might be harder for junior developers to get a job until they become like really good, until they become media developers or something, I don't know. That means, again, you will have to learn faster, and you might not get paid until you reach a certain bar. The sooner you start, the better, so if you're watching this, you're on a great path.